Now on to the border crisis, folks. The so-called president, Joe Biden, still enjoying yet another vacation as the country continues its downward spiral. From the looming recession to rampant crime, we all know Joe is asleep at the wheel, especially when it comes to the border crisis, which, oh, by the way, is a massive security issue that he created. And despite Democrat claims that it's closed, the southern border is not. It's nowhere near contained. Meanwhile, Biden has never made a visit to the border, ever. Now, almost 5 million illegal immigrants have crossed the southern border since JoJo took over. The president of the Federation for American Immigration Reform says, quote, roughly the equivalent of the entire population of Ireland has entered the U.S. illegally in just 18 months, end quote. And those are the numbers we know about, folks. Almost 200,000 immigrants entered the country in July alone, marking a 325%, should I repeat that? 325% increase over the average number of July apprehensions across President Trump's entire 4 years in office. Thanks, Joe. July was also the 17th straight month that Border Patrol had at least 150,000 encounters at our border. Again, that's encounters. How many did they not encounter that slipped in the middle of the night or in broad daylight while they were busy over here with a few thousand? Here's a few hundred walking right in. It's happening every single day. Texas Governor Greg Abbott is doing what every single border state governor should be doing right now in my book, busing a bunch of the illegals to D.C. so Democrats can deal with them. Over the weekend, buses with about 140 immigrants arrived in New York, right fresh off from Texas. Look at them there. You liking that Big Apple? Officials say it's the largest single-day arrival from Texas since Abbott started sending them. Abbott says, quote, Texas has bused over 7,000 immigrants to our nation's capital in New York since April. That's awesome. About 1,000 of the 7,000 right there in New York. Abbott goes on to say the busing mission is providing much-needed relief to our overwhelmed border communities. Plus, he's also throwing it back in their face, which I think they need to see. Good. Now, as they get dumped off in New York, illegals are being rewarded for their illegal activity, of course, while New York residents, legal American citizens, get the old shaft. Homelessness, crime surging in New York State. But get this, the Lincoln Hospital, located in the Bronx, just this past Sunday, held a Resource and Family Fun Day for illegal immigrants and their kids. They offered them free phones, free food, health care, and free school supplies. On top of this, the City Department of Homeless Services late last week asked New York hotels to please help us find at least 5,000 empty rooms that we can give to the illegal immigrants. Not to the homeless Americans that are sitting on the street in New York, but to the illegal immigrants. And as the number of illegals continue at our southern border, so does the amount of drugs. And you know which one I'm talking about. Deadly, deadly fentanyl. Look at this headline. 15,000 pills that look like candy with fentanyl in them. It was fentanyl candy seized by U.S. Customs and Border Protection in Nogales, Arizona. The CBP, Port Nogales Director Michael Humphrey says, quote, this could be the start of a trend with transnational criminal organization targeting young users. I'm sick and tired of this. Our next guest, he's sick and tired of it. He's been so outspoken about the invasion, because that's what it is, the invasion of our southern border. I want to welcome him back to the program. Pinal County, Arizona Sheriff Mark Lamb. Mark, let's begin with the drugs. It's killing more Americans than anything out there. It's the number one killer. It's killing, I think, are responsible for 80-90% of all the deaths of 13 to 17-year-olds too. And what is Joe Biden and the Democrats doing about stopping this crisis at our border? Nothing.
Not only are they not doing anything, the media, which is supposed to hold our government accountable, they're not saying anything either. I know you are, Dan. You're doing your job. And there's great people out there that are still trying to get the truth out there. But the reality is you've got a government failing to do their job, completely absent as it relates to their responsibilities. And then you have a mainstream media that's doing anything and everything they can to cover their tracks so that the American people don't realize how catastrophic this is. You said it, Dan. It has become the leading cause of death amongst Americans between the ages of 18 to 45.
That's right.
It's killing our youth, and yet we have an administration that's doing nothing about it. It is so dangerous and pervasive in our society.
What a slap in the face, too, when you watch what New York is doing, because they just can't stand that Abbott's sending the illegals to their backyard, just like the D.C. folks don't like it either. But what a slap in the face. Oh, we're going to tell the private industry, hotels, you must provide 5,000 rooms for these illegals, yet there's American citizens that are dealing with issues. They need help. You're going to give free phone, free healthcare, free food to illegals, but there's Americans that this winter will be freezing in New York that are starving right now? Come on.
And there's no such thing as free. I promise you somebody's paying for it.
New York taxpayers.
Us, the American taxpayer.
Yes.
And what they're doing is to hide this is the government gives money to NGOs, non-governmental organizations. Right. Those non-governmental organizations are providing phones, they're providing hotel stays, so that your government later on can say, that wasn't us, but it's them. They're the ones giving the money to those organizations, and those organizations are giving what they call free phones and free hotel stays. But it's coming out of the pockets of the American taxpayer. And guess what? Between inflation, gas prices, and everything else that this administration has caused for us, we're getting killed out here.
No kidding.
And yet they give out money like it's candy.
Well, because it's not theirs, it's ours. Last question, a few seconds left. I got to throw this headline up. Speaking of wasting taxpayers' money and walls, right? Because we know walls work at the border. Did you see the latest? Joe Biden is going to be spending $500K to beef up the fence around his vacation home because he's worried about bad actors coming and causing him harm. So he won't build the wall or finish the wall at the border, but will pay to build one around his house. A couple seconds left. Your thoughts on that, Mark?
So hypocritical, first and foremost. If he doesn't think walls work, he shouldn't have a wall around his house. But Dan, let me tell you what was interesting about that article. They were supposed to finish this a long time ago. Now they're not projecting they're going to finish it until June 6th of 2023. You know why? That means because Joe Biden is consistently at his house and not at the White House, which is why they can't finish the wall around his house.
Too many vacations.
That should show you he's non-existent at his place of work.
I didn't know that. Sheriff Mark Lamb, one of the best out there, Pinal County, Arizona. Oh, brother, we love you. Try and keep those folks safe down in Arizona. God bless.
Thank you, brother.
We'll see you later.
God bless.